Hello, this is a quick video on how I do collision for Fallout 4. This is not my method and it's not my model. It's a great car from Renafox. Okay, so first I click up here and I select import to import my model. I've saved it to my desktop. 2013 doesn't have all your shortcuts and things. So it's an FBX and you can do add on its own or add an update, either's fine. Now I know that this model has got the incorrect scaling, so I'm going to maximize the viewport first to make it easier for me to see, and you can change that round up there to rotate the model. You've got move up here, rotate and scale, so I need to select scale, and then it's come through with 254 and I need that to be 100. Now if I was doing this properly rather than just a tutorial, what I'd do is I would bring in another vehicle so I could make sure it was positioned correctly, but for this video I'm just gonna do it quickly because I want it to be fairly quick. So what we need to do is we need to clone it. So we do that because the collision will be on a clone of the main object. So if I click clone, so that was a right click with it selected and clone, and I'm going to call it C_Core Vega. It doesn't matter about the namings, it's up to you. So once I've selected that, I will go up to modifiers, mesh editing and Pro Optimizer. Over here I click calculate, change it to 25%. If any of the sizes really drastically changed, you might need to change that around a bit, but that looked fine. You notice it came in a little bit. That's all right, as long as this is all for the collision, so as long as it's not gone crazy, you're okay. So once you've done that, you need to collapse it. So that is the collision object there. So now I need to go back to my main object and add the material to it. So if I click on graph editors and then new schematic view, once you've done it once it will be in your save schematics views, but I haven't done that for the first time, so there we go, and I'll change that to Core Vega. But again it's not really important. So now I'm going to minimize that, and now I need to assign a material to it. So I press M to bring up my material editor, and you can either drag it in or right click. So I'm going to drag it in, double click it, load my material. I've got them already set up, but there we go. And then right click on your material and assign to selection. You know notice it's gone white. That's important. If it doesn't have a material, it won't export at all. You'll just get a blank object come through. Right, now we need to do the collision. So select the collision object first, hold down control, select your main object, go up to the Havoc content tools, physics, create rigid body with proxies. It always should parent to the main object. Right, so that's that done. This is still with our main object selected. We need to set the mass to 60. That seems to be the standard. And then bring up your schematic view again, click on the collision object and change that to mesh. It's okay because we've made the object a lot smaller, so mesh is all right. So then I think you can do it with just the collision, but if you can, just select both. And what we're going to do now is assign a collision group. Now this will probably be in the more for you, so if you click more, it should be there, but I've already brought it into my main utilities bit already, so you can click that there, or if you haven't got it in there, click more and you can do that. So now I'll select metal and static. So for a static object, if you need a animation, you would need to select the anim static, but this is just going to be a static object. So that's that done now. So now I can actually export that. So if I click up here and go export, and it's best you have to save it in a folder called meshes for Elric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in my Fallout folder. And I'm just going to put it in the top level, and you need to select the Game Biro version, not this one. It's got to be the Game Biro one, and that's my old one, so I'll delete that out. And here's my new one. So I'll click save on that. Here is the main bit you need to change. The rest you can just use as default, but this you'll probably start at the top, but you need to scroll down to static art. If you needed an animated one, it would be this one up here. So if we go static art and then select OK, and that will have exported. So if I go back to my meshes folder now, here it is. So I can open that with Niscope, and this is before it's gone through Elric. This will not work in game. If it's got BS fade node and it's also got that collision type, it should have an MP collision object. That's not gone through Elric and it won't work. So I have a folder that I have my Elric bits in. I'll just delete that back out. So now I'll open Elric up, and I like to save everything in that Elric folder. So then if I take my mesh and convert that, you need to do the settings with this as well. You need to do file and settings if you've never used it before, load settings, but I've already done that. There are other tutorials for that, but it should be straightforward. It's all in your Fallout 4 tools folder anyway. So now if I go back into my Elric folder, that's now been converted, and you see now it's an NI node rather than a BS fade node. This weird effect it does, if you click on render and disable shading, goes back to normal. You'll notice these lines as well. To fix that, select your object, right click, mesh, face normals, right click, mesh, smooth normals, 60 is fine, right click, mesh, update tangent space, and now that's come through all nicely. Now that object is ready for the game. Thanks very much. That's it.